Let's continue with the questions. Now, again, what is this question? One of the following is not considered as a source of obligation, it seems. Now, I think our options are very easy to choose. Law is a source of obligation. Now, it is a source of obligation. Now, contracts, now it is a source of obligation. Quasi-delics, yes, it is a source of obligation. Now, your work is not a source of obligation, right? Now, work does not form a foundation unless there are rules and laws defined, right? Now, your laws, contracts and quasi-delics are a form of regulation, right? Which create a obligation for a person to perform a work. Am I right or wrong? Yes. So, your option is D. Now, you can answer these questions very easily. Now, next one. An obligation which is not subject to conditions or burdens, nor does it mention a specific date for its fulfillment, and as such it is immediately demandable. Right? An obligation which is not subject to conditions or burdens, nor does it mention a specific date for its fulfillment, such it is immediately demandable. Now, what is that called? It is called pure obligation. Exact definition of pure obligation. A pure obligation is a duty which is to be fulfilled without any excuse. That is the definition. Now, and I will give an example for this. A doctor has a pure obligation towards patients, even though if he have not paid his fees. Am I right or wrong? This is what pure obligation means, right? You have to know about the differences between pure obligation, condition, reciprocal and alternative obligations, right? This is the main task. Next one. An obligation which is a subject to a condition is called, now automatically you can easily answer this, conditional obligation. Now, a condition obligation is such that which subjects to fulfillment of certain conditions, right? Am I right or wrong? Now, I will give an example for this. A shopkeeper is not obligated to exchange the product unless receipt is shown. Now, receipt is nothing but your condition, right? An obligation where two parties are mutually obligated to do or to give something. Now, what is this called? Right? So, see, are mutually obligated, it seems. Now, these are easy questions, right? The options itself. Reciprocal obligation. Now, next one. Expected sets of behavior, etiquette, law, morals and ethics between the engineer and other individuals and society as a whole. You have to consider it as a conceptual issue? No. An application issue? No. As a legal right? No. They are the interaction rules between the engineer and other individuals and society. The term itself is self-explanatory for you. Right? Done. Interpersonal relationships are very important. That is what we discuss in interaction rules. Interpersonal rules. Done. Next one. Code of ethics state the engineer's duties to society, to employers, to clients, to colleagues, to subordinates and to the profession. However, when these duties conflict, which group should take precedence, it seems? Right? Now see here which group must take the precedence. Now your answer is society must take the precedence. The public, right? Now see here, society must be the prime thing that has to come before anything, right? Now whatever the task that an engineer has to do, it must be to ensure, to safeguard the public interest, right? Now your answer is this. Perfect depiction. Next one. The National Society of Professional Engineers had a code which requires professionals to be. Now what it asks to be. Dissociate themselves from organizations that are of a questionable character, it seems. Yes, perfectly right. That are of a questionable character. Yes. Now further the cause of public good. Further the cause of public good, it seems. Yes, perfectly right. Advise clarity, the consequences if a technical opinion is overruled by a non-technical person. Yes, perfectly correct. So your answer is all the above. Unethical behavior is often triggered by. Now often it is triggered by pressure from higher management to achieve goals. Yes, right. An organizational atmosphere that condones such behavior. Yes, right. So your answer is a system of check and balances. No, it's not correct. Your D option is wrong. So your option is C, both A and B. The form of ethics that recognizes the impact of organizational factors to guide decision making is. Now what are the form of ethics which recognizes the impact of organizational factors to guide decision making is? That recognizes the impact of organizational factors, it seems. Now you can answer this question easily. Which is the things? Professional ethics, right? That recognizes the impact. Done. The relational dimension involves. It seems. Now relation means it might be good or bad. Now good relations involve trust, mutual respect and acceptance. Without good interpersonal understanding, now these relations cannot be developed. Am I right or wrong? Now your answer is the relationship between the counselor and his or her advisor. No, wrong. The study of client's family and family dynamics. No, wrong. The capacity for trust, mutuality, ethical sensitivity and acceptance of uniqueness. Yes, this is perfectly right. How well the counselor can relate to the client, it seems. No. Your C option is perfectly right. Now, in terms of confidentiality, clients should be informed in writing about. Now, we have discussed this extensively in the video regarding human values and psychology, right? Confidentiality, right? Secrets, trade secrets, all we have discussed this. Now, which answer suits this? The extent to which confidentiality will be maintained in terms of provider communications. Yes, perfectly right. How data that they provide on clinical outcomes, inventories will be held confidential. Yes, this is perfectly right. The extent to which confidentiality will be maintained in terms of written records. Yes, all these are exact statements regarding this confidentiality. Secondary outputs, right? So your answer is all the above. Done. Next one. Confidentiality promotes positive changes in the clients because it helps provide a context for the experience of. Now what it helps to experience of. It experiences positive emotional experiences, trust, safety. So your answer is all the above. Next one. From a risk management, it's not from a risk management, from a risk management. From a risk management perspective, saving or safeguarding client confidentiality is a primary value in order to reduce the risk of client suicide. No, this is an extreme behavior. Wrong. Malpractice claims and other civil suits. Yes, this is perfectly right. Protecting the client confidentiality, right, in order to reduce the malpractices. Now, next option, your B is perfectly right. Sorry. Premature termination from counseling. No. Your client dissatisfaction. No. Second option purely satisfies the. Which of the following terms refers to a view and attitude towards work? Refers to a view and attitude towards work as determined by intrinsic values and aspirations, and experience of working which is reflected in thoughts, feelings and behavior about work. Now, this is what you will be known as work orientation, how you are oriented at your work, right? Now, it depends upon the attitude towards work and your values, aspirations and experience of working. Work orientation, how involved you are. This is what it explains, right? So, your option number C. So, our option number C. The incapacity to perform the function of the supervisory role due to a lack of training, experience, unwillingness or inflexibility is referred to as. Now see here, you are lack of training, experience, unwillingness or inflexibility. Now what does this exactly says? Your supervisor incompetence, right? The incapacity to perform the function of the supervisory role. Now the question is this about. So your first and second options are close by, right? Focus on the things. So supervisory incompetence. Done. Supervisor incompetence. Which of the following factors shapes the ethical behavior of the members of an organization? Now see here. Your supervisor's behavior, yes, perfectly right. Your organizational culture, yes, perfectly right. Now your code of culture, yes, perfectly right. All these factors shape up your ethical behavior of members of an organization. Now your answer is all the above. Now, which of the following can improve work ethics? Right? Now, which of the following can improve work ethics? Establishing code of ethics, yes, this can improve. Appointing formal ethical committees in the organization to look into ethical issues, yes, this can improve. Teaching ethics in training programs, yes, this can improve. Now your option is all the above. It's a very general question, you can answer it very easily. How is the closeness or commonness of attitude, behavior, trust and performance within the organization is designated as? How is the closeness or common? Closeness, right? Now see here, when there are two persons, when you have same closeness, same attitude, same behavior, trust and performance in an organization, now they are designated as, is it leadership? Bluntly wrong. Is it communication? Bluntly wrong. Is it morale? Bluntly wrong. Now this is cohesion. Cohesion means attraction. Attraction, or you can, this attraction is a common word. Now you can say it is like-minded fellows. Same attitude. Exact dictionary definition, right? This is the what you have to derive the secondary points. All these points will not be in the videos, right? You have to chart out the secondary points. Now, next one. An organization's obligation to act to protect and improve society's welfare as well as its own interest is referred to as. Now, an organization's obligation to act to protect and improve society's welfare as well as own interest is known as organizational social responsibility. Now see here, this and your previous questions are asked in IES 2017 paper. Which of the following factors are associated with motivation, it seems, right? Now money, yes, this is a factor for motivation. Psychological and social security, yes, this is a factor of motivation. Self-esteem, yes, this is a factor of motivation. Good interpersonal relations, yes, this is a factor of motivation, right? All these four factors of, right, are nothing but Maslow's motivation principles, or Maslow's. I have discussed this Maslow's theory of hierarchy Maslow's 5 needs of principles in detail in the videos. Now what are these? We have discussed only 4 here, right? Now these can be psychological, like hunger and thirst. Now we haven't discussed this. Hunger and thirst is one need. Social security, like friendship. Yes, I have given this. Let us consider this is first one. Second need. Affection, money. Yes, third need. Good interpersonal relations, your fourth need. Right? Now see here, self-esteem is your. Now these are the 5 Maslow's 5 needs, right, for motivation. Go through the things carefully. Right? Now let us move on to the next question. Now see here, from next questions you will be very easy to answer the things, right? I think. Let us see. Engineers today are usually quite sensitive to issues of social responsibility and ethical behavior because of. Now your first option is correct. Interest groups is correct. Legal and governmental concerns, yes, this is also correct. Media watch, yes, this is also correct. Now all the above options are correct, right? Now an engineer or a public servant has to be more watchful today because of increase in role of interest groups by civil society, media, regulations by government. All these are concerns of an engineer to look after, right? Next one, which is not a type of whistleblowing. Now see here, we have discussed this topic inexhaustively, right? Inexhaustive, not inexhaustive. Inexhaustive manner, right? There is a difference in the topics human values and psychology, and also in ethical corporate governance. Now internal, external, anonymous are the types of whistleblowing, but there is no such type of whistleblowing called ethical whistleblowing, right? So your option number 2, D, not 2. Assertion and reason. Whistleblowing should be the last resort for an employee. Yes, this is what I have discussed in the video also. Your first assertion is perfectly right. Whistleblowing should be used only when all the formal procedures have been exhausted. Yes, this is a clear explanation of the statement of the assertion, and your reasoning is also correct. So your option is A and R are true, and R is correct explanation of A. Which of the following is not an aspect of corruption, it seems? Now acceptance of bribes is an aspect. Now you are asked to not an aspect. Not an aspect, right? Now acceptance of bribes is an aspect. Bypassing rules to benefit a contract is an aspect of corruption. Misusing official authority for some personal, yes, this is an aspect. Now whistleblowing is not an aspect of corruption. So your option number D is correct, right? Next one. Which is are required parameters for good governance, it seems. Now the first video itself I have discussed about good governance, smart governance and governance. Now your rule of law, yes, this is the one of the parameter. Now your transparency, yes, this is one of the parameter that you have to look upon, right? Now accountability, yes, you have to look upon. Now all the above 3 are the parameters of good governance. If there is an evidence that the whistleblower is motivated by dash, then the legitimacy of the act of whistleblowing must be a question, it seems. Now upon which point this happens, right? Now legitimacy of whistleblowing act must be questioned if it is used for financial gain, right? This is the point that we have discussed. Now which option satisfies this? Financial gain, right? So your option is B. Bluntly you can put out the option there. Now what are the correct statements about whistleblowing, it seems? Now see here, what are the correct statements? Whistleblowing always involves a conflict between loyalty to the company and loyalty of society. No. right? Your first one is bluntly wrong. Now, what are the aspects of whistleblowing first? Employee should not blow the whistle without exhausting all in-house remedies. That what it must be a last resort. Now, this is correct, right? Engineers should directly use external whistleblowing tool to protect society from hidden. No. Last resort must be the whistleblowing, right? So your second statement is perfectly wrong. So your option is neither one nor two. Right? Whistleblowing is nothing but taking out the unethical activity. It's not a dilemma between society or company, right? Unethical practices. Unethical practices. Done. Whistleblowing is ethical under the act of following condition except means you have to find out the wrong condition, right? Now what is that except condition there? When motivation is the financial gain. Now sorry, what's your question asked? Whistleblowing is ethical under the act of following condition except when the motivation is financial gain. No. When the employee identifies as serious. No. Now when the employee identifies a serious threat of harm. Missed the point here. When the country will cause serious and considerable harm to the public. Yes, this is an act of whistleblowing. Now next one, when the employee's immediate senior does not act and internal procedure chain of command have been exhausted. Whistleblowing is ethical under the act of following, it seems. When the employee's immediate senior does not act an internal procedure chain of command have been exhausted. Yes. When the motivation is financial gain, whistleblowing is not ethical. Now your A option is wrong. Is ethical except the first condition. Remaining all three are ethical only. Right? So your option number A. Which of the following statements are true? Right? Whistleblowing may be external or internal. Yes, correct. Whistleblower must keep his identity. Yes, whistleblower must keep his identity. Whistleblower must reveal his identity. Now see here. This is what we are missing. Must reveal his identity. Whistleblower must keep his identity, it seems. Now which of the following are correct? Now he might reveal or might not reveal. So there is a dilemma in this. So he may be internal or external. This is correct, right? Now next one. Which of the following are the measures to achieve probity? Now your options are strengthening the RTI. Yes, right to information. Probity means knowing the information. Involvement of ICT tools and technology. Yes, in order to have a transparent manner. Standardization. Now this is wrong, right? So 1 and 2 only. These two are correct. Which of the following are types of accountability? Now already I have discussed this accountability, right? Now what are the following types? Diagonal, yes. Internal accountability, yes. Judicial accountability, yes. Legislative accountability. Now this is nothing but your communication. We have discussed this, right? So your option is all the above. Accountability of government towards parliament is called. Now one general question that you have to answer this, right? This is nothing but legislative. Right? Legislative principle. Which of the following are the disadvantages of e-governance, it seems? You are asked to find out disadvantage. Now huge expenditure, yes. One of the disadvantage. Digital divide, yes. Privacy, yes. Data severity, yes. Now it is not data severity, you can call it as security also. All the four factors are the disadvantages of e-governance. One more general question, right? This was asked previously, so that's why I have included here. A situation in which engineers, loyalty and obligations may be compromised because of self-interest or other loyalties and obligations. Now, this is what we have discussed, the first basic definition of conflicts of interest. Right? You are in a dilemma to choose. Perfect set of example, right? Next one. Occasionally, a conflict of interest may occur accidentally or unavoidably. In such cases, the best course of action is, what are the given options there? Keep the conflict of interest secret, but try not to let it affect your decisions. No. Perfectly wrong. Disclose the conflict to a fellow engineer and ask for advice. No. Ignore the conflict of interest. It is one of the benefits of a professional job. No. Disclose the conflict to your employer and anyone else directly involved. Now this is your correct option, right? Occasionally may occur accidentally or unavoidably. Under such circumstances, what you have to do is the question asked. Disclosing the conflict of interest would lead to a solution. The other, now see here, disclosing. Which of the following reprehensible actions is clearly a conflict of interest, it seems. Now which of the things? Failing to correct or report a situation that may endanger the public? No, it is not a reprehensible action. Sealing a drawing by an unlicensed person not under your direct supervision? No, this is not a reprehensible. Accepting a secret commission from a supplier for buying the supplier products? Yes, this is a reprehensible action, right? Taking a bribe. So the C statement is perfectly right. Now all these things doesn't have direct evidences. Now your third statement has direct evidence. Accepting a secret commission. Right? Now, next question. Which of the following situations arise when a supervisor is involved in competing rules or has competing interest that could affect the supervisor's ability to faithfully exercise sound professional judgment and skill? Right? Now, what are the situations here? Now, we have discussed this. This is nothing but your conflict of interest. One more general question, you can easily answer it. Right? Thank you.